Talk to Heilige Gemara. On the bottom of Lamed Aleph, Amid Aleph, the last line, 31a, the bottom line. Omar Rabba Bar Avhuna Kol Adam Sheyesh B'Torah Ve'ein Bo Yiras Shemayim. We now just turn to 31b.
Wait, there's time to be able to be
What?
The one before that? Do that?
Well, we did that yesterday. We said that a person, when he sells it, the core of the Tvua, he's not cheating his friend. He's not overcharging him. Remember?
Yeah.
And we said that the Reb Chaim Volozhin says that you can learn a little Musar and don't think you're cheating yourself from your Torah learning. Right? Anybody who has Torah, but he doesn't have fear of heaven, is compared to a gizbar. A gizbar is the one who's in charge to get, that the treasures. But they gave him the inside keys of the inside vault, but the outside doors of the bank, he doesn't have. How can he enter? So it's very nice that Torah is the essence of Hashem, and you have it, but you're not able to really penetrate and understand the Torah and let it become part of you. Like the Gemara says elsewhere, it's really just very surface. It's not becoming you, because you don't have a way to really enter. Because Yiras Shamayim, if you have Yiras Shamayim, you become a person who fears to guard and to keep, and otherwise you won't care what you learn, and it won't become part of you. Machiz Rabbi Yanai Chavala de Leslie Darta Vitara Darta Ovid. What a waste for the one who does not have a door, but he makes an entrance to the doorway, a big, nice a gate, a nice gate. They had like nice arches. What's he doing that for? There is no door. Omer Rav Yehud. So therefore, so what's he saying?
Same concept, no?
Same concept. Omer Rav Yehuda Barak Hakadosh Baruch Hu said, "Omer L'Kadesh Yirim Lefonav." Rav Yehuda says Hakadosh Baruch Hu did not create his world only so that they shall fear before him. Shenemar v'hu Elokim also sheyiru milefonav. Hakadosh Baruch Hu made the world that they should fear him before him. That's the purpose of the world. Rabbi Simon Rabbi Elazar Aviyasvi. Rabbi Simon and Rabbi Elazar was sitting Cholev also Rabbi Yaakov Baracha. Yaakov Baracha passed before them. Amalei Chad Lechavre, one said to the other, Neku Mikamei Degaver Dechatoinu. Let us stand up before, because he is a man who fears sin. Amalei Ido. So the other one said to the other one, Neku Mikamei. You know why we should stand before him? Degaver Bar Uryanu, because he is a Ben Torah. He knows a lot of Torah. Amalei. So the first one replied, Aminu L'cho Ano Degvar Dechil Chatoinu V'ames Li At. The Amet Li Ad Bar Uryanu. I told you because he fears sin, and you tell me because he knows Torah. I told you the greater thing. You lessened his praise. You mitigated. Tistayim de Rabbi Elazar whom. Let us conclude that Rabbi Elazar is the one that he's the one that it said that he fears sin. The Amar Rabbi Yochanan Mishum Rabbi Elazar ein lo HaKadosh Baruch Hu be'elamai el yiras shemayim levad. Because Rabbi Yochanan said in the name of Rabbi Elazar that HaKadosh Baruch Hu does not have in his world only one thing, fear of heaven. Shenemar v'ata Yisrael. And now Yisrael. Ma Hashem Elokecha she'em imach. What does Hashem ask from you? Only one thing. Ki'im liyira. Well, there's a bunch of things in that pasuk, but the main thing is the yira brings to all of them. The gomer, uksiv. And it says, meaning one thing. Uksiv hayoyim lo adam. He said to man, Hein yiras Hashem hi chachma. Behold, the fear of Hashem is the wisdom, the gomer. Which means, shekem b'lshon yivoni koyin la'achas hein, this time. Because in the language of the Greeks, they call the word one, achas, they say hen. So when it says, hein yiras Hashem hi chachma, means there is one thing. It's the only thing that really exists, is yira in the world. Fear of Hashem. Everything boils down to fear of Hashem. If a person doesn't fear Hashem, he can learn all the Torah and know all the mitzvahs, but he won't keep anything. The purpose of all of it is to cleave to him, to become like Hashem, which is knowing all of his mitzvahs and understanding them. And the more you understand, the more the depth you have, the more understanding you have of Hashem. And to take all that and to fear it. Torah Shavula Maidich Siv. Al Tirsha Harbe. Do not become exceedingly wicked. So, Harbe Hu Deloi Lirsha? Hama'at Lirsha? Oh, you shouldn't become exceedingly wicked, but a little bit you should become? How could that be? Elamisha Achal Shum. The Reichei Noidiv Yachzav Yochel Shum Acher. V'hei Reichei Noidiv. What it means is as follows. If someone ate garlic, and now he has bad breath, so now he has bad breath, he's going to walk into his friends, he's going to have bad breath. So now, should he eat more? If he eats more, his breath will smell for even longer. So the point is that if a person does a sin, it's very important, musarav, very. Sometimes a person feels down. He says, I already messed up with this sin so many times, or with other sins, so I'm already a Rasha, and why not just indulge more? The answer is because your breath will smell longer. This, you wait 5-10 minutes, you do a little tshuva, it'll be gone. But you get deeper in, that's what it means al tisha harbe. Al tisha harbe means if you did a little rishus, stop. Stop. Dorosh Rava Baravula. Maidich Siv. What does it mean? Ki ein chatzuba is lemoisam. Ubari ulam. Ivlam. Omer HaKadosh Baruch Hu lo dayin l'rishoyim she'ein charedim v'atzevim yom hamisa. Ela shalibam bari lahem ki ivlam. Is it not enough for the Rishonim that they do not tremble and they're not nervous from the day of death, but rather their heart is strong and confident, like their sins, like their foolishness. Meaning, so Rashi says that the word chatzuvos is comprised. It's like an acronym of charedin va'atzevin. There are such fools. This is their way of the fools, meaning that they're so confident. The Rishonim know that their way is to death. The pasuk before this pasuk, Rashi says, speaks about their burial. And then the next pasuk says, Zedarkam, this is their way. Meaning they know this is their way. But Kesel Lamoy, what does that mean? Their kidneys, which give advice and counsel to a person, as the Gemara says elsewhere, are covered in its fat. Which means, meaning they decide to ignore it. And they walk around all confident as if, sometimes you find such people that can be 70, 75. And there's not even a little crack in their armor. The signs of tshuva are nowhere to be found. They're so indulgent, and they're confident that they're going to live forever. They already have one foot in the grave. But they talk about gaiva and all the tumah in the world, like as if they're going to live for thousands of years and be able to enjoy pleasures like when they were 20 years old and run around. Why? He says, Shema toima shichahi. Maybe it's because they forgot. They have some fat on their kidneys, so the fat, like, it covers it up, and they forget. Man, the way I understood it, it's not so simple to me, but the next pasuk says that after they're gone, they still speak about it, and they don't do tshuva. The way I understood it was that even in Gehenna, there's other Gemaras also, the Rishonim still talk about their garbage, and they don't do teshuvah. So over there it's clear; they see everything clearly, but they saturated their neshama in such tumah that it becomes their essence forever. Even after they have clarity and they see everything clear, they are totally involved. That's how fools, and the pasuk calls them fools. That's what it is. To be a rasha is to be a fool. So this is very strong musar here before Pesach, where it's brought down in the Midrash that what were the Jews doing? I know they were running to get Korban Pesach and checking it, and they had to get Brit Milah. So they were very, very, very busy, and they had to bake matzot, like we are busy, and they're even busier because they had the Korban Pesach. True. But what else were they doing? The Midrash writes that you know what they were doing? They were involved in teshuvah. They were involved in doing teshuvah. And the Midrash writes that's why Hashem took them out. Which means we all want to come out of our own Mitzrayim. Like there's a chiyuv chayav lirot et atzmo ki'ilu hu yatsa mitzrayim. The Alter from Kelm writes it's from the hardest mitzvot to fulfill of the night. To actually feel a yitzias atzmis. You're not oh, my forefathers came out of Mitzrayim, so you see the reason why I'm free today is as a result of my forefathers coming out. But rather there is a individual exodus of each individual. He himself is coming out. I chose not all of you collectively, but individually. Each person could come out of his meitzar, his mitzrayim. Mitzrayim, the Maral says, is a lotion of meitzar, borders. Everybody's confined to the yetzer hara, and they have no exodus. They can't come out. But the night of Pesach, Hashem takes all the Jews out, each one individually. He takes them out, and a person is chayav. A person is obligated to see himself leaving. How can he come out? How? So that means he's obligated to prepare himself before Pesach and to do teshuvah properly. We should all be zoche. Kechos al haner. Let's continue. Okay, so if you remember the Mishnah, it said like this. It said from the Vilna Goyim, Kechos. If a person thinks he's saving the ner and the ptila and the shemen. What did you say? Yeah, kvar gazulo, and he can't save it even with his shtadlus because it's doing an avera on Shabbos. So he's not saving those $5. He's going to lose them somewhere else. So he only thinks he's being chos. So it's kichos. It's a beautiful pshat from the Vilna Goyim. But anyway, let's go back to the Mishnah. What did the Mishnah say? So the Mishnah said, the guy puts out the fire. There are three things in every fire, in the normal fire. There's the ner, that's the receptacle, that's the earthenware, clay candelabra holder, that's the ner. There's the oil, and there's the wick. So, if he put the fire out because of any of these three, because he wants to conserve them, okay? I don't want the ner to get ruined from the fire. I want to save some oil, or I want to save the wick. Chayav. The Tanakama says chayav. Who is the Tanakama who says chayav? That is Rabbi Yehuda. Let's get this clear. Rabbi Yehuda holds a malacha she'eino tzricha legufa, a malacha that is not needed for it itself, okay, is chayav. That is meleches machsheves, that is an artisan act, even though I don't want it for itself. I don't want to extinguish the fire to create a better fire. That would be legufa. Extinguishing a fire for the fire, that is legufa. Okay? But that is legufa. Just have a kasha. This guy, he doesn't want to create another fire here. He wants to just save some oil, save the nair, save a wick. He wants to save some money. So that is not legufa. According to Rabbi Shimon, you're not chayav. It's not a isur deoraita. Maybe the Rabbanan. But here it says chayav. That's Rabbi Yehuda. Now, so the Tanakama is very clear to Rabbi Yehuda. There's no questions about that. The question is the next line. Look at the next line. The bottom line of Daf Chavtet Amud Bet. 29b, bottom line. Rabbi Yossi poter b'chudan, chutz min ha'ptila mepnei shehu oseh pecham. Rabbi Yossi says, you patur in all of them. Oh, so Rabbi Yossi is like Rabbi Shimon, right? Because it's a malacha that's not needed for itself. You're not putting the fire out to make a better fire. Okay, so that's why he's patur. But he says, chutz min ha'ptila mepnei shehu oseh pecham. How do they translate with pecham? Do you see that?
Like a charcoal.
Yeah, like a charcoal. So the ptila is different because he's making a charcoal. So the Gemara asks now, Rabbi Yossi kiman tzvirele. Who does Rabbi Yossi follow? Ikar Rabbi Yehuda tzvirele. If he follows Rabbi Yehuda, afilu b'hanach nami l'chayiv. And he doesn't really care about tzricha legufa or not tzricha legufa. Let him be chayav, even if he's doing it to conserve the ner or the shemen. Not only by the ptila. As long as the malacha was performed, which is to extinguish, to kibui. Kibui means to extinguish. Hamechabeh, he extinguishes. It doesn't matter if it was done for the purpose of the malacha or for any other thing. You're chayav. So it can't be that he goes like Rabbi Yehuda. Oh, so the Ikar of Shimon, and that's why he says patur. So you're like, ptila nami lifater. So then, if he wants to conserve a ptila, that's also not for the purpose of lighting this now in a better way. So why does he say, besides the ptila, there he's going to be chayav? Understand the question? Make up your mind. Rabbi Yehuda should be chayav in all of them. Rabbi Shimon, patur on all of them. How can you differentiate between the ptila and the other two, whether you hold like Rabbi Yehuda or whether you hold like Rabbi Shimon? So the Gemara says, Omar Ula, the Olam Rabbi Yehuda Svirle. He holds like Rabbi Yehuda. And really, if he holds like Rabbi Yehuda, so why is he only chayav on the ptila? Let him be chayav on all of them. Because Sav Rabbi Yossi is a problem here. Soter amenat livnot bimkomo have soter. Amenat livnot shelo bimkomo lo have soter. Let me translate it and then I'll explain. There's a long Rashi here, I'll explain it. If a person breaks, we know there's a melacha called destroying an edifice, a built thing. That is a malacha. So Rabbi Yossi's opinion is, it's only if you destroy to build right there. You're destroying for the purpose of building right in that spot. That is the malacha of soter, of destroying, and the guy is chayav. Because okay, I'll explain in a second. But if you do it somewhere else, shalom mikomo, it's not soter. Okay, so Rashi gives a little background and he says as follows. It's very simple. He says, there's a melacha, all the melachot have to be constructive. Okay? So Rashi says, all destructive melachot on Shabbat are really patur. Because the Torah says meleches machsheves, an artisan thought out act that's creative. So I did something, but it's ruins. Something that ruins things is not a creative artisan act. It's the opposite. Okay? It ruins something instead of creates. So the only kilkul. Now there are several melachot that seem to be ruining things. Erasing, destroying, ripping, and extinguishing. Think of them. You rip, you ruined. You extinguished, you ruined the fire. You destroyed the fire. These are not building anything up, these are tearing things down. So how are you chayav in all those melachot? So Rashi says, you know what Rashi says? Rashi says, because they all are considered building if you do them in their place. If I tear down the building because I want to build, so the reason why the Torah says that could be one of the malachot, even though it's not creative, is because it is creative. That's not a kilkul. We're tearing this down so we can get a much nicer thing here. I want to build it again in a different way, in a better way. So therefore the tearing is constructive. Same thing with ripping. Same thing. If you're ripping in order to sew, you rip a jacket to sew it together. So I want to make it better. Now, what?
Who says that's your intention?
No, in a chanami, if it's not, is it my computer that I can't hear him well? It's like very low, or his? Sorry, 1 second. Just a drop louder, not so much, like in the middle.
Speak.
Hello.
Yeah, perfect. Okay, Noah, if it's not his intention, you're patur. If you just rip something, you're patur. It might be astur midrabanan, but we're talking about on the doraita level, on the Torah level, it's not the malacha. It has to be korei amenat litfor. You have to rip a jacket on condition so that you shall sew right there in that spot. Okay, so he says like this, Rashi. Erasing has to be so that you should write over on that spot. It's not just, I don't like that. I don't like what I wrote over there. Let me erase it. That case, you will not be chayav according to Rabbi Yossi, because then it falls under the category of kilkul, of just plain destruction. And that's not what the melacha is. So he says, so therefore, if a person puts out a fire, let's go back to the case of Yossi. This is what we have to concentrate on now. If a person extinguishes the fire, and he doesn't care about anything. He doesn't care about the wick. But he cares about the oil and about the ner. Rashi says, let's take the worst case, let's flip around the case for a second. Let's take the worst case scenario. He says it doesn't matter. You know why? Because the oil and the holder, right, you don't want it to become too dirty or to ruin it. The fire might ruin the earthenware. He says, so the extinguishing had nothing to do with the building of. What are you going to say? 1 second. The extinguishing is destroying to build. Right? It's going to build up the oil, because the oil will be preserved. And the candelabra will be preserved. Rashi says that's not bimkomo. That's not in its place. He says, because where does it exist? Where does the kindling and the extinguishing exist? In the wick. This is the aside. What I just said, that was the key to the whole sugya over here.
Can you repeat that again?
Yeah. The key is, Rashi says it on the first wide line, in the middle of that Rashi says, the first words, She'ena kibui v'ha'avoro lo b'shemen v'lo b'ner, ela b'ptila. Where does it exist? If you study it, where is the kindling and extinguishing existing? In the wick. Not in all these holders and oil that feed it and all those things. So therefore, you cannot, it's not called that I ruined something in its place to build it up. The only thing you could talk about building it up is in the ptila, in the wick itself. Because that's the place where I extinguished, that's the place where I kindled. So I can extinguish to rebuild here. It has to be bimkomo. Bimkomo. Okay? For example, let's say a guy destroys a building, so you can take those parts of the building and build them somewhere else. It's also correct, it has to be bimkomo. So tera al menat livnot, on condition that he builds in that place. Which means this itself has to be rebuilt in a better way. So then we see the destruction as a constructive act. But if it's going to be built somewhere else, even though in the future there will be some sort of construction that happens, but not here. In this spot where I destroyed, all I see is destruction. Because nothing was rebuilt over here. So therefore the act of destroying was just an act of destruction. But if I will rebuild over here, then we see the whole thing, not just the rebuilding, but even the destruction as part of the beginning of the construction. Okay? He says, in the wick, you can see that. But everything else, it doesn't exist over there, okay? That's not bimkomo. So he says, now, hold on, give me a second. So, if a person wants to throw away, or he wants to if a person doesn't really care about relighting this wick, so we say, you don't care about relighting this wick right now? Or you don't want to relight this wick? You don't think this wick is going to hold better? Then you never were soiser al manas livnos, because we have to look at the wick only. But says the Mishnah, Rabbi Yossi says, therefore you're patur on everything. You know why you're patur? Because even though I hold that a melacha that's not needed for itself, for a different purpose, nothing to do with soter now, nothing to do with destroying and constructive and destructive, just normally, a melacha that's not done for it, it's for the melacha's purpose. Like the classic case is when you dig a hole, you have earth. And I didn't do it for the purpose of digging a hole, for getting a hole, for planting, but rather to get the earth. Rabbi Yossi says, that's chayav, I don't mind, because it's constructive. But, he says, I have another issue here. You know why you're patur in all these cases? Because they're destructive. Because I extinguished, and extinguishing for the sake of the oil, or for the sake of the ner, that's not amanat livnot limkomo. So therefore the reason why I'm patur is not because of the tzrich legufa and the not tzrich legufa aspect. It's because of the kilkul aspect. I ruined. I did a destructive act. The only place where I can see any constructive act here is in the wick itself. So that's why the Rabbi Yossi says, chutz v'naptila, mipnei shehu oseh pecham. Because in the wick itself, I have plans to relight, and it'll be a better light, and it'll be able to catch the light better. So the extinguishing now is building up my wick. Oh, so it's a buildup of an act. It's a buildup of an act. Oh, so I'm not being mekalkel. It's like destroying something. I'm not bimkomo in the wick itself. Yeah. For this, it was worth coming to the world. For this, mamish, for this pshat. I hope I explained it well. It's a long Rashi. I tried. If anybody's not clear here, please email me at... No, I'm just joking. You can ask me right now. Okay. So, I said it well. I think you have a question. Michael, was it good?
Yes, but the next statement coming from Rabbah is even better.
Oh, it's even better. Omalei Rabba Mechti. Kol malachas helfinu luhu mimishkan. All the malachot we learned from the Mishkan. Vehatam soter abenat livnot shelo bimkomo. Rabbi says, what do you mean? You made this up that it has to be mikomo? Look at the Mishkan. Where do you learn soter from? Everything from the Mishkan. Where do we have soter in the Mishkan? They took apart the Mishkan whenever they traveled. Where are they going to rebuild it? Not here, somewhere else. So over here, all I see is destruction. Omalei shani hosam. So he told him back. Ula told him back. Told the Rabbah back. Kivan dechtiv al pi Hashem yachanu. Ki soter amanat livnot b'mkomo dami. There's a very deep concept here, Rabbatai. I don't even know if I could express it properly. Since it says that they traveled by the mouth of Hashem, then it's considered like they destroyed thinking on condition they want to build in its place. Now, it's interesting, there's no Rashi here. This sounds like a very deep concept. I think what it's saying is like this. Usually when I go to your home and you destroy your own home or your building or you rip or you erase, you extinguish. So I ask you, what do you have in mind? You want to build over here, you want to destroy to build somewhere else, you want to use these things, you don't want to use. So you're the man in charge, you tell me what you want. So the Gemara says, when they destroyed, they don't have an opinion. It's al pi Hashem yachanu. We travel by the mouth of Hashem. So every time they took apart the Mishkan, it wasn't like there was their own decision that they're taking it apart. We don't want it here, over there. There's only one decision made, and everything's included already. The future, the past, the present. It's all al pi Hashem. So it's like one long, the way I'm saying it, and maybe I'm saying it maybe it can be explained in a more simple fashion. I might say it in a too profound way. Maybe I'm overstating it. But the way I understand it is that it's all one big plan. 40 years, going from here to here to here to here. It's all one long construction. We don't have any decisions here. So therefore, every stira is a binyan itself. It's part of the long big plan. How do they explain it there? Probably say it in a simpler way. Do you see how they say over there? Michael? The answer.
You're saying it correctly. You the bottom part explanation?
Yeah, I'd like to hear it because I think it's a very deep concept. This Gemara's teretz is not even Rashi here.
This is not only deep on a regular run-of-the-mill Shabbat purpose, labor purpose. It's clearly deep on a Beit HaMikdash whole purpose of time and everything. Can you hear me?
Yeah.
Well, I mean, it's saying to you specifically that the whole purpose of everything was, let's go commentary by commentary. It says here, in the wilderness of Jews, this special tabernacle said go camp and reassemble again when their priests camp in a different place. The very source of the Malach of this message is not the facilities building in a different place. Now it says here, the verse as well as the surrounding section of the script indicates that whenever the Jewish people pitched camp, they did so at the behest of the divine will. The people were led through the wilderness by divinely fashioned pillar of cloud, and when it was time to encamp, the cloud would arrange itself with the camp of Judah like a tent. And here's the part that you want to hear. The reason dismantling fails to qualify as a malacha when it is for the purpose of building elsewhere is that the dismantling is viewed independently from the building. Independently from the building. And when judged in isolation, dismantling is a destructive act. In the case of dismantling the tabernacle, this reason does not apply, for each decision in camp or break camp was decreed by God. Thus, dismantling the tabernacle must be seen in the larger context of God's wish that the Jewish people travel elsewhere, and so that new isolation. Right now, it's a big picture concept. It's a big picture idea, right? And I look at it as very simple as that. The whole idea also of the Beit HaMikdash, the setting up, the destruction.
You were in the
the setting up, and the destruction, the building, the description. It's all one thing. It's the same concepts and ideas. It wasn't just meant for one, and God had an ultimate plan, and that's where we're at. We're actually going through the final part of the destruction, so we can get this last Beit HaMikdash built. Same idea.
That's beautiful. That's where we are right now. Al Pi Hashem. Ivaldik.
Yeah.
Yeah. So it's we feel like that now. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
You're not in charge of any decisions. Stay in your home. Al Pi Hashem Yachad, Al Pi Hashem Yisrael. I'll decide when I want this thing to be over.
But look what the word says. It's bim cholod dame, meaning in that very same place. Like,
right.
Beit HaMikdash, and it's right there.
It's right there.
It's not going to be anywhere else, you know?
It's here. In the makom of the stira. Beautiful. Rabbi Yochanan has a whole different way to say for Rabbi Yossi. Rabbi Yossi holds like Rabbi Shimon. Now, what does Rabbi Shimon hold? That a malacha that's not done for the purpose of legufa is potter. So why does Rabbi Yossi say that the ptila is chayav? Umayshna ptila. Ki da amar Rav Hamnuna v'yitem Rav Ada bar Ahava hacha b'ptila shetzarich lihevhava askinan. Here we're talking about a ptila that you did not yet singe and prepare on Friday. Oh, so now the Bahia afilu Reb Shimon moide the kamistak in mana. So here, putting out the ptila is actually not einot tzricha legufa, not for a different purpose, for something else. It's for the purpose of the ptila itself. The extinguishing is to light a better fire. So therefore, even Reb Shimon would say that you're going to be chayav. And there's a good diuk because it says shu ose pecham. If you go like the first pshat, so what is the first pshat saying? That it's really like Rabbi Yehuda. But the whole issue was kilkel, soter. So the reason why Yossi is saying Yechayav is because it's a soter al minat livnot. How does he say that? Because it was a pecham. Because since it was a coal, it was like a charcoal. It was made like into a charcoal. So therefore, it's always ready to be relit right over here. So we don't care when the hivluv happened. When it became a charcoal, could have become a charcoal on Friday. Should have said shenasit pecham, because it is an object that is a charcoal that can be relit and is ready to be rebuilt right over here. That's what it should have said. But the Mishnah says shu oset pecham. So Rava likes this pshat better. He's making it now into a charcoal. That's not something that's important for the first pshat to say that. That doesn't. It's only for the second pshat. Because we're going with Reb Shimon, and Reb Shimon has an issue with being a malacha she'enot tzricha legufa. So according to Reb Shimon, the only way that you can be chayav is because right now it's tzricha legufa. I need it for it itself. Why? Because I'm creating the charcoal now because I didn't do it before. That's the diuk. Therefore, shma mina. So the better pshat Rava likes is to say that Rabbi Yossi actually goes like Rabbi Shimon. But the reason why it's chayav ptila, because it's tzricha legufa. I'm trying to singe now. How am I singeing now? By putting it out. That creates a beautiful, perfect pecham. Zok the heilige Mishnah. Al sholosh. Just want to make an announcement. Anybody's on now or later. I think my wife just forwarded it, even so we'll do later.
You got it.
Yeah, it just says forward for my wife. It's very funny. Okay, sorry, everyone. Tomorrow morning, Bezrat Hashem, if it's okay with everyone, I'd like to do the shir, if possible, at 6:40. 6:40 to start, because it's Erev Pesach, and there's so many things to do. So, if it's possible. Slowly crawling back to our 5:40. He doesn't realize. every day 10 minutes earlier. One day he's going to be waking up at 4 o'clock. He's not going to say, well, I thought the show was at 7:30. What happened to it? Okay. Anyways, but is it possible to do 6:40 tomorrow? Because it's such a long day. And there's so many things to take care of.
What are our plans for Pesach?
Plans for Pesach? On Motzei Shabbat, Thursday, Friday, Shabbos. So maybe we could make it up. Motzei Shabbat we do maybe Bezat Hashem blot and a half. So we'll still be behind blot and a half. And then a blot and a half and a blot and a half. Whatever, over Chalamed, we'll be behind. Try, if you can, over Pesach, to learn or to review or to learn the dafim. Whatever you can.
When would be our next class after tomorrow?
Motzei Shabbat. Right? Because that's the next time.
Saturday.
Maybe we could make Chalamoyed. The Gemara says the only reason. What?
Rav, I think we should leave it that you have to pretend like everybody's up to date for that date on the.
Fine.
That's how you have to leave.
Fine. But then there won't be any. Okay. I'm fine with that. So everybody has to learn the 2 dafim of Pesach on Pesach. But then it won't be recorded then, those 2 dafim.
Yeah, that's fine.
Fine.
I needed time to learn, there's no excuses.
Okay. Seder. One day if you want, I could put them on. For people that want to. Okay, fine. That's a good idea. Al sholosh averot nashim metot b'shat lidatan. For 3 averot, nashim, ladies, die at the time of their giving birth. Al she'enon zirot. I'm going to move a little quickly because it's easier and because we have to move. And Shalosh averot nashim metot b'shat lidatan. What are the 3 averot? At the time that they give birth, they die because of these 3 sins. Al she'enan zihirot, because they are not careful b'nidah, with the laws of the purity of nidah. Nidah, we know what it is. Lady sees blood from her period, she is tame'ah. She has to be very careful. B'chala, the laws of taking chala is taking off some of the dough to give to the kohen from a large dough that she makes. Uvehadlakat haner, and the laws of this perek of kindling the lights. Says the Gemara, Nida my taima. Why does she die at the time of why does she die from not being careful with Nida? Amar Bitzak he kilkala b'chadrei bitna lefikach telakeh b'chadrei bitna. So she ruined the innards of her stomach, which means that's where the source of the blood is. She wasn't careful with those mitzvot. Therefore, tilkeh, she will be smitten b'chadrei bitna, which is when she's giving birth with her baby inside. So the Gemara says, Tinach nida. Okay, nida I get. Chala v'hadlakat haner ma'ikal meimar. What about the other 2? What do they have to do with such a death? Like this person from the Galil was Doresh, expounded by Rav Chizda, Amar HaKadosh Baruch Hu, Levi'id dan natati b'chem, al iske dam izati etchem. Your life is dependent on a revi'it of dam. That's what the Gemara says. 1 revi'it of dam is what a person needs, at least that, right, to live. So since that is your essence, revi'it of dam, ki adam hu nefesh, therefore I warned you about the matters of blood. That is your essence. Reshit karati etchem. Now we're going to see the correlation between all these 3. I've called you my first, right? Reshit tvuato. Klal Yisrael is called his first grain. Beni bichori Yisrael. You're my firstborn. Al iske reshit hizati etchem. Since you called my firstborn, that's your essence. So I warn you about the first. What's the first? The Torah calls chala the first of your does. Reshit aristatechem. That corresponds to who you are. Neshama shenatati bechem kriya ner. The neshama that I placed inside of you is called a ner. We saw this the other day. Ner Hashem nishmat adam. That's who you are. Your neshama is a ner. So aliske ner izati etchem. Therefore, I warned you about the matters of a ner. Be careful. So if you fulfill all these three, mutav, fine, good.
I have a question.
Let me just finish the last sentence. But if not, then I'll take away your neshama. Because that is your essence, and you're not dealing with properly with the mitzvot that correspond to your essence. Therefore, your essence will be wiped away. Chas v'shalom. Yes.
What happens if a woman just buys challah for a Shabbat and didn't do the
That's fine. That's fine. It's not a problem.
That's fine.
What it means here is if a person, because she didn't have an obligation to take off challah, and actually she's fulfilling it because she's careful to buy from a store that took off challah. She's not going to eat it if it's untithed, if it was unchalad. She's buying from a store that they took off challah. So that's fine. She's eating food that, but here what it's dealing with is a lady who had a dough and she had the obligation to take off challah and she didn't. That is the sin. Okay. So why did this happen at the time of giving birth? Okay, fine. These represent the essence of man. So, but why? By the way, Rashi says an unbelievable thing here. So, yeah.
I don't know where we're going with this. Just keep in the back of your mind as I'm listening to this, but I'm going over about what's going on right now. The birth pains of Mashiach. Go ahead. Think about it.
Wow.
I don't know where we're going with it. But let's see if we can bring it together.
Okay. Now I hear you. Very, very. A light bulb went on. So now Rashi says an unbelievable thing. He says, why are ladies chayav in this? Okay, nida, we understand. What's chala? So he says, and why ner? Why doesn't the man have this chiyuv? So Rashi says, because the Midrash says in Bereshit Rabbah, she destroyed the chala of the world by feeding Adam HaRishon. He was called the chala. Why is he called the chala of the world? Because he was elevated from the world. He was taken off to give to the Kohen, to give to Hashem as special. Man was the most special. See, Adam HaRishon was the chala of the world. And what did she do? She ruined it. He was supposed to be holy for the Kohen, this piece of challah, but she was mitameh. She ruined it. So she has to do the mitzvah of challah to correct it. And when she did that, v'kavta neiro shel olam, she extinguished the lamp of the world. Because he was the lamp, ner Hashem nishmat Adam. And he was the only Adam. He was the Adam, the original. So she ruined the challah and she extinguished the ner. So she has to fix it. V'shavchat damo, and she even says she spilled his blood, which is the dam nida. So she has to be careful with all these three mitzvot, because she has to be mitaken. And then Rashi says another reason, because all the needs in the home are dependent on her. So she has to be busy with these things, because who's baking, and who's taking care of the lights tonight. Who's taking care of everything in your house? Your wife. So therefore, these mitzvot, that's just the simple reason. But the first reason was very deep reason. And that's why it's brought down in the Bar Hated from Api Kabbalah. The person has to be careful with when they cut their nails, not to just leave them around, because if a lady steps on them, she could chas v'shalom lose her baby, because the child, because originally Adam HaRishon and Chava were covered in nails, not just at their fingertips and at their toenails, but the whole body had this covering of a nail. But it shed when they did the Averah. She brought it about. So we only left with a little bit at the tips of our, like the what are they called? The ends of our body. So therefore, when she steps on that, it can like arouse some sort of heavenly din, justice, that she brought this about, the nails issue. Like Rashi's saying, she brought about the kofs and Shalom, therefore it could be a bad for her. Anyways, let us continue now. Umayshno b'shat leidatan. So why does it happen at the time that they give birth? Okay, she's responsible for all these three things, and they represent the essence of man, and therefore if you don't take care of the essence, then the essence is taken away. But why at the time that they give birth? Amarava. There are many different expressions of the Turutzim in the Gemara now. Rava says, Nafal Tura Chadal Sekina. If you have a bull that falls on the ground, trips, falls, whatever, it's time to sharpen the knife. Because if he gets back up, it's a whole you have to exert a lot of effort to get him back on the ground, to shecht him. So once you have him on the ground, sharpen the knife. So same thing over here. She has bad mazel now. So let all the calamity come now. She's giving birth. It's a good time to bring the rest of the problems on her. That's why. Abaya Omar. I sound I'm not. What? What?
Can I give a finish on that?
Please.
Two things. Ox represents Yosef. Yosef represents Isod. When the Isod has fallen, not keeping the wrist sharp, meaning obviously knife can be, killing, obviously losing death.
That's what it's saying here.
No, that's what I'm telling you.
I'm saying the last part that he's saying Chadlu Sakina is a time for death. So he's saying, yeah, I hear. Abaya Omar.
I'm talking about also again who's connecting. I'm right now my mind to times of Mashiach. So
because the Yisoid, everything's telling you the Yisoid, they're Nachman, right? Yeah.
Common our generation right now. Keep the Yisoid.
Abaya Omar. Tofish tirus amsa bechad mechatra lahava. When the maidservant, when she builds up, there's many of her sins, that's when you just, so then you give her, it's not like every time she does something, you say, oh, Maria, what are you doing? This, that. She builds up a whole bunch of them, and then one whack. So over here also, a lady is going through the Yisurim of Leda because of the punishment of Chava. What's the punishment of Chava? That all women will always have birth pain. So now, once she's getting it, so you give it for all of them in one shot. Giving for the original sin. So now, so now you give it for everything. Leave alone the drunkard. He'll fall himself. You don't have to throw him on the floor. Oh, you want to get the drunkard? He'll fall in 5 seconds. You'll watch. So the same thing over here. When a lady is conceives, she has to ask HaKadosh Baruch Hu for rachamim to open up her womb. So HaKadosh Baruch Hu is a perfect timing. He doesn't have to go and mete out the justice. All he does is just doesn't open up her womb. She'll fall herself. That's what it's saying over here. It's a perfect time to punish her for these avirot. He doesn't have to do so much. He just doesn't. Okay? She's in a very precarious situation. She needs interceding on her behalf. So he just doesn't intercede. Okay, let's continue. Mar ukve Omar. Mar ukve. His pages of notes over here going on in this man's mind. Mar ukve Omar. Raya chigra v'ize riaton. How do they translate the word chigra there? Raya chigra.
Crippled.
Yeah, that's what I thought. Like a chiger. So you have this shepherd who's crippled, and the goats are running, so he can't catch up with them. He has no chance. When does he get them? Abav. 1 second. Abav chutro mili. V'abedori chushbono. But when does he speak to the sheep? So he speaks to them when they get in front of the flocks. And when they get to the pen, that's when they get paid up for what they did wrong, for running ahead. So meaning, 1 second. When the lady is healthy, many times HaKadosh Baruch Hu acts as if Chas v'Shalom, he can't. You know why? Because she has many zchuyot. She has many merits. So she's pending. And the koach of the mekatreg, of the Satan, of the Malach HaMaves, he can't get to her. He's like a cripple. He can't mention her averot, even though he's trying. They say, no, she has zchuyot, she's doing this. But once she gets to the entrance of sakana, and she needs miracles, Rashi says, because at the time that lady gives birth is danger. The Gemara says the first 3 days. So there they mention all her avonot and all her actions to see if she is befitting, if she is worthy of the miracle or if not. So it's a dangerous time. She has to be really worthy. Very scary. Rav Papa Omer, Abav Chanuata, Nefishi Achi Merachani. Abav Bizyoni Lo Achi V'Lo Rachami. When the stock market is up, by the storefront, the guy's making a lot of money. He's very excited. He makes a lot of money. So over there's a lot of friendship and brotherhood. You go to the guy's store, he's making cash. Everybody's happy there. Abav Bizyoine, but in a place where people are losing money, you go into the stock market today, you see those pictures, how they take the pictures of the guys' faces. There's no brotherhood. There's no friendship. Nobody's close. Nobody feels, oh, you're my brother, I do whatever you want, I love you, I have a lot of rachamim for you. Now everybody is in narrow straits. So therefore, her mazel, so Rashi says, is lessened. And therefore, all her praklitin, all of her the malachim that protect her, they're not around anymore. She has bad mazel. It's another way of saying it. Okay. The Gavri Heicha Mivdiki. Okay, so this is all terrible for ladies. So when does the men ever get checked out? So Amar Shlokish, if you thought you got a pass over here, the Gemara got you now. The Gavri Heicha Mivdiki. When are we going to get checked out? Amar Shlokish B'shosho Ivim Ala Gesher. When we pass over a bridge. So I'm going to sing it in a second. So the Gemara says, yeah. Gesher, 1 second. Gesher v'tulo. So the Gemara says, only a bridge and nothing more than that. That's the only time you go over the bridge. If you're good, you're in Florida, you're good. Not too many bridges in Florida, right? So the Gemara says, Ema ke'ein gesher. Anything like a gesher. Any place of sakona, like a wall that's bent, that might fall, or a guy that goes on a long trip, any time that there might be a sakana, a precarious situation, that's when he is looked at, like we said before. Now it's very interesting that, Netanyahu, the other day he said, Kol olam kulo, seger tsar me'od. The whole world is one narrow, closed area. The whole thing is locked down, closed. He used this gesher, but he changed it to seger, to our situation. Kol olam kulo gesher tzar me'od, seger tzar me'od. So, when a person's going through a precarious situation, like right now, then he's checked. And he said, oh, you're already going through bad mazel, so maybe all these expressions that we went through come to play chas v'shalom. Why am I saying that? I'm trying to bring bad to the world? No. What I'm saying is, the Gemara is telling it to you for a reason. So you should know it. So you have to recognize that this is one of those times. So therefore, at this time, why do you think the Mishnah says it? It just wants to let you know when. telling you to do teshuvah at these times. Pray. So therefore, we have to know that we're on this gesher now. So therefore, Kadosh Baruch Hu is sending Daf Lamed Bet, Leiv, Rachmana Liba Boy. He's sending it to the whole world now. Direct email to us, Daf Lamed Beis.
We just spoke about Yira. Now we're talking about this. I think we spoke about Yira.
You like this? Bamem Adlikin. How do you look at the top of your page? How do you light up the world? Perek Sheni b'Shabbat. You learn another perek on Shabbat with your leiv, with your heart. You got to bring your heart. Achmana liba boy. He likes those. You like that one?
And you know what? Yeah, and Rashi, the first thing he says is Reishit karati etchem.
Reishit v'asoi. Which is what? Where's another pasuk that says that we're the first? By Pesach. B'bini b'chori Yisrael. Why did he kill the Bechorim? Because we are his Bechor. We are his firstborn. Okay.
Rabbi, Reishit Chachma Kim.
Reishit Chachma what?
Reishit Chachma Yira Elokim. Talk about Reishit.
Reishit is Yiras Elokim. Reishit Chachma Yiras Hashem. The beginning of the Reishit has to be Yira. Very good. Like we spoke about Yira though. That was the first page. Okay. Unbelievable. It says the Gemara Vayter. Rav le'over b'mavra di Yosef be'akum. Rav never went on a boat that there was goyim. He only flew El Al. Omar, dilma mifkid le'dine oleo umatfisno, because maybe there is going to be din on these goyim, and I'll get caught with their din. Ba'adei, Shmuel le'over el b'mavra di Yosef. He only flew Lufthansa. Why? Omar, sitna betrei umi lo sholit. The Satan, the prosecutor, he doesn't have power over two different nations at once. So if there's two nations there, it's better. So ask your rabbi if you should fly Lufthansa or El Al. Right now, the rabbi is going to tell you that it's not lochal ma'aser because there's no flights out. Rabbi Yanai bodik ve'over. Rabbi Yanai would check the boat, and then he would go into the boat. He'd check it for holes. Rabbi Yanai l'tamei, he goes according to the Amr lo'ilam al yamid adam mokim sakono. A person should never stand in a place of danger. Lo yimeh she'oisim lo'ines. Shema ein oisim lo'ines. V'im oisim lo'ines, v'im nakel lo'mischu Yosef. First of all, he might not get the miracle. And even if he does, it's going to knock off from it's going to take off, mitigate his merits. Omer Rabbi Chonin, my crow, where do we find it in the pasuk? Kotointi mikol hachasodim mikol ha'emes. That a person has become, Yaakov Avinu says, I have become small from all the kindness that you did to me. Meaning he was worried, the Gemara says, Shema, we had this in Brachot also, right? Now, Gimel over there. That maybe, even though Hashem promised him that he's going to protect him, but maybe his merits were taken away because of these nisim. So therefore, a person has to be very careful to take care of his body now, and not to depend on miracles. Rabbi Zera, on the day of the Shusa, Rashi says, on the day that the southerly wind would blow very hard, and that southerly wind was so strong it would be able to knock down walls and uproot trees, he didn't walk amongst the palm trees and depend on miracles. So now we're here. We're the southerly winds. That's where, right? That's China's south from us, right? Down there, no? Isn't China lower than us? It's just in the same. It's just no, the other side. It's east, right? Chinese are the east, but I think it's lower. No. Okay, fine. So it doesn't work. But anyways, there's strong winds blowing here. There's strong winds blowing over here. They're dangerous. You have to be careful. Omar Rabbi Yitzchok, levakesh odem rachim shelo yechle. Shim yechle. Listen to this Gemara. Oimim loy havei zchus v'yifater. Le'olam, a person should always pray. Not only when there's a sickness around, but always, before the sickness comes, that he shouldn't become sick. Because if he's already sick, they'll tell him, all right, you need a merit to excuse yourself, to get yourself out. But if a person prays beforehand, he doesn't need anything yet. He's just asking Hashem, don't bring it to me. Once it's there, it's much harder. So right now, we have to pray for all the people that are sick. Of course, you have to shed many tears. But for those who aren't sick, for your families, for yourselves, and for the rest of Klal Yisrael, one of the greatest protections is to pray before they become sick. Because once they're sick, it's much more difficult. Where do we find this? Mimenu. Mimenu really means from the roof. But Mimenu lahavi raya. But it says Mimenu from next to the word nofel, from the one who fell. That's where the Mashai, I looked it up before, so he explains it. So it's a very interesting thing that once he's falling already, so you have to bring a proof from him, which means a way out to extricate himself. What? Tana de Rabbi Shmuel, Kipal anoifim menu roy is the lipa misheches mei bereishis. Sharei le nofal, the akos of kari noifel. He hasn't fallen yet. We're talking about a guy who's standing by a roof that is not not fenced. And the pasuk is saying you have to fence it because the faller may fall from it. What do you mean the faller? If he hasn't yet fallen, don't call him the faller, the nofel, the one who's falling. The answer is that everything korei hadorot merosh, everything from Sheshet Bereshit was already revealed, and all the punishments. So the guy who falls is already a fallen man. From everything that happens is already revealed. But what happens is that who does it happen? Through who does it happen? This person had to fall already. So you say, it's not my fault. Not my fault I didn't put up the fence. Because everything already is destined from the first 6 days. So what do you want from me? The answer is the bad things happen through people who do things that are bad. So if you don't put up a micah, so that's where bad things will take place. Okay? Let me just see what time it is for a second. Okay, I have about 5 minutes, and I want to get to the 2 dots on the next page, in the middle of the next page, or maybe 7 minutes. So I'm going to go very fast. Okay? It's easy Gemara, that's why we could do it. Anybody who is sick and is turning towards death, we tell him, confess, because all those who are killed by Beit Din, right? The halacha is they repent and they confess, and that way you'll die through teshuvah. Adam yotzei l'shuki hidome be'enav kimish imsel l'sadati. Check this. So 11. Look at this Gemara, unbelievable. If someone goes out to the street, he should feel as if he was given over to an official that's going to bring him to the judge to be judged. This means on a regular day. Imagine on a day like today. Because Rashi says because there are many fights in the street in business and all sorts of things. So you have to be careful when you walk into the street not to get involved. So you should be thinking, you know what? If I get involved in all that stuff, all that junk, I can mamish be brought to the shofet to be judged. So you have to be thinking, I could get arrested. Like those people that are extra nervous from the cops all the time. That's the way you should feel. And can you imagine now? If a person has a headache, it's as if they put him in a koiler means, I think, how do they translate it? The chains around his neck. or a prison.
Oh my God.
What does it say? What's a koiler?
First of all, it says here, Rashi says, this is a condition more serious than merely being escorted to stand trials.
Yeah.
You have a headache, which has been happening a lot. How come we spoke about that? Headaches right now. That's scary. Oh, God.
It's worse than a sedatiyat. Yeah. The gerua me'er legardim. But it's not as bad as the next one, which is what? Oh, lamita v'nofal, but if he went to his bed and he fell off, yidoim be'enav k'may she'alu legardim. If they brought him up to the gardim lidoim, shekala oil legardim lidoim, im yeshleprakit litim gedolim nitzav im lav ena nitzav. A gardim, I don't know how they do exact translation. What do they say? It's the place where they judge people that are going to get killed. And it's for a really, really harsh, very bad, crimes that are judged for death. So he needs major defense lawyers. What are the defense lawyers of a man? If he doesn't have them, he won't be saved. So if he falls off his bed, you should be very worried. It doesn't mean a little child, by the way, that falls off the bed. Don't get nervous. This happens all the time. That's natural. That's the way you grow up. Little kids fall off the bed. It means an adult. So he says, what are the prickly shaladam? Tshuva ma'asim tovim. You hear this? You want defense lawyers. Teshuvah, ma'asim tovim, yirat shemayim, pray that you don't get sick. Even if you have 999 saying against him, and one says, okay, gets protected. One malach out of 1,000. To say the good, straight things about the man. He will be gracious, mercy, the goymer. Okay? Even if that malach, there's two ways to understand this. I'm not 100% sure. Is part of the 999 that are saying against him, but he also has something good to say. Or, I saw maybe another pshat that he says 999 things against him, but he also has one good thing to say. He can be saved also, because it says, Meilitz echad mini olaf. What's the proof? That the proof is, Rashi says, that it doesn't say Meilitz malach. Meilitz is a advocate. It doesn't say an advocate, a malach. It says a malach who becomes an advocate, which sounds like that malach could have been from the malachim which were against him, right? He was the prosecutor, but he's also an advocate in a way that can also help you. So therefore, more tshuva, more ma'asim tovim, more yiras shamayim. Don't feel bad if you became a rasha. Don't get more bad breath. Pray before it comes. Tan Rabbanon al shol shaves noshem mesos yoludos while they give birth. Rabbi Elazar Omer noshem mesos yaldos when they are young. Different way of saying it, not when they give birth. Because of the sin that they wash the sully, the dirt from the children on Shabbat. Okay? And they're over on kibbutz, on washing the clothing. Today, you have diapers, but you have to ask your rabbi, there's still something here with the wipes. There are different opinions, how wet they could be, or even very little. There's something called, in Lakewood they sell, and in New York they sell something called baby spritz. And we use that. Baby spritz is like a oily type of spritz. You spray it on the baby, and then you use a tissue instead of the wipe. It's for Shabbat. But some hold that's mutar, but you have to be very careful. This is one, v'yesh omrim, al shekorin lo'erin ha'kodesh, you see, baby spritz. Arna. They call the Aron Kodesh, the cabinet over there. The that's what they called it. And that is a that is a disgrace. You have to be careful how you speak about holy things. Tanya, Rabbi Shmuel ben Elazar mebavin shnei dvarim amei haratzes meisim. There are two reasons why the amei haratz die. Al shekorin lo'erin hakadosh arona. Same thing. Al shekorin lo'beis hakneses beis am. You know,
Gathering place.
the gathering place. Tanya Rabbi Yisrael shloisha bitkei misa nivru be'isha. There are three things that they check a lady when she's in a time of sakana. Which means at the time that she is in a sakana, they check to see if she's doing these three things. Like we said before, that they die at the time of yoldot, when they give birth. The amidah shol shudivke mita. Others say that they just attach themselves to her, these three things, and they bring her to death young, which goes like the other opinion that it doesn't say at the time of birth, but at the time when they're young. And the three things are nida v'chalav adlakat haner. Chadek Rebbe Lozer, v'chadek Rabbanan. One is going young, and one is going at the time fine. Tanya Reb Shimon Gamliel Omer, Hilchot Hegdish Trumot u'Masrot Heinen Gufei Torah. These halachot of hektish, something is hektish, something is holy. Trumot, masrot, are actual Torah. V'nimsru le'ami ha'aretz. And they're given over to the ami ha'aretz. Meaning, it's an amazing thing that there's no shomer for this. There's nobody watching this. You heard this? No. Okay, so there's nobody there's nobody watching over this. Basically, the Torah trusts every person. A Talmid Chacham will eat the bread of a guy, and he'll rely on him that he took off challah, truma, and masrot. And hegdish is also given over to each person. The guy says, "I didn't give this to hegdish. You can use it. Doesn't belong to hegdish. You don't have to worry about anything." So, they're mamish gufei Torah, and they're given over to Amei Haaretz. So, now what does that have to do with anything that we said before? There's a Marsha here. I think the Marsha says that it's another reason why they could die. Maybe, I'm not sure. That if they're not careful with these things and they give it to Talmidei Chachamim, because they're mamish gufei Torah and they're given over to their hands. Tanya Reb Nosson b'Avodah Dora Meisa Isha Shalodam. Because of a person's wife can die from the sin of vows that he doesn't keep. If you don't have the vows, the karbonos that you promised to bring, Lama, why are you causing that yikach mishkavcha mitachtecha? Hashem will take mishkavcha, your bed, from which refers to a wife, from beneath you. Rabbi Omer b'Avodah Dora Mesim Kshem Ktanim. Because of the sin of vows, of not keeping vows, a person's children die when they are small. Don't let your mouth make your flesh sin. And don't say before the malach, kishgagahi. It was a mistake. Why are you bringing wrath of Hashem on your voice that you said, and he will destroy the handiwork? What is the handiwork of man? That's the children. He says it's by the sin of Nidarim. Rabbi Yehuda Anasi, it's Rabbi Omer Bavon Bitul Torah. Bishlam Lamanda Omer Bavon Nidarim, I understand Kedei Amram, like we said the Psukim. El Lamanda Omer Bavon Bitul Torah, Mikra. Where does Rabbi get his pasuk? That if a person does not learn Torah, he wastes time instead of learning Torah. You think lashav for nothing? I have smitten your children. It's because Musa lo lakachu. You didn't learn my Torah, which is Musar book. From that man also learns it from this pasuk, because it says lashav yiketi dunechem al iske shov. I wasn't concentrating. Sorry. Lashav iketet benechem al iske shov. I have smitten your children for shov, for nothingness, meaning because you lied with your vows. And it sounds like the word of shvua, iske shov, like it says, lo tisa et shem alakecha lashov. These are matters of shvuot. So the Gemara says, Mechti, Rabbi Yehuda Anasi Hani Rebbe. Rabbi Yehuda Anasi is Rebbe. The Rebbe ba'avoy nedarim kamar. And Rebbe said initially, all the way back up there, Rebbe on the fourth line, ba'avoy nedarim. Then later we find him saying, ba'avoy bitul Torah. So which one is it? So the Gemara says, Bata the Shomem Rabbi Lezer Rabbi Shimon. Once he heard from Rabbi Lezer Rabbi Shimon that it's ba'avon nedarim. First he said ba'avon bitul Torah. Then he started saying like Rabbi Lezer Rabbi Shimon ba'avon nedarim because that was his Rebbe. Pliga bar Rabbi Chia bar Abba v'Rabbi Yosi. And Rabbi Kiva Eger says it's not Rabbi Yosi, it's Rabbi Asi or Rabbi Ami. He brings it from a different Gemara. Chad Amar ba'avon mezuzah v'chad Amar ba'avon bitul Torah. One says it's the Avera of the mezuzah, and one says it's the Avera of bitul Torah, that people die young. L'man damar ba'avon mezuzah mikra nidrash lefanav v'lo lifnei fanav. Then the pasuk can be expounded backwards to one pasuk, but not to two pasukim back. Meaning, it says l'man yirbu yimechem v'imei v'nechem in Shema. You live long, so that you shall live long. It means the pasuk before was causing long life. If you don't keep the pasuk before, chas v'shalom, you will have short life. People will die when they're young. What was the pasuk before? Mezuzah. Uchtavtam al mezuzot b'tzecha u'visharecha l'man yirbu yimechem. So the pasuk saying, if you want to live long, do mezuzah. If you don't do mezuzah, chas v'shalom, the children die young. But the pasuk before mezuzah was v'limadatem otam et benechem u'dabebam. Right? Was learning Torah. So he says, no, it doesn't go back leman, so that it doesn't go back all the way to two psukim back. It only goes back onto mezuzah. U'lemanda amar bavon bitul Torah, but according to the Manda Omer, it's the avera of bitul Torah, mikra nidush lefonav, v'liftei fonav, goes back to mezuzah and to bitul Torah. I want to do one more Gemara because it's a Gemara that ends off in a good way, and I want to end off good. Pligaba, Rabbi Meir, Rabbi Yehuda, chadam ba'avoy mezuzah v'chadam ba'avoy tzitzit. If you don't wear tzitzit, bishtam l'mandam ba'avoy mezuzah d'chtiv uchtavtam mezuzot betecha uchtiv bater l'man yibu yimechem v'imei v'nechem, like we just explained. Elo l'mandam ba'avoy tzitzit. But according to the Manda Amar, that it's because of the sin of tzitzit. My timer, what's the reason? Amar Avkahama v'temes shilamari d'chtiv gam b'knafecha nimtu dam nefashot evyonim nikiyim. In your corners, which is tzitzit, you will find blood because of your corners that you ceased to do this mitzvah. You will find the obligation, the chova dam nefashot of evyonim nikiyim, of clean paupers. Who's a clean pauper? Little children that haven't sinned. From here he learns it out from these psukim also. Tichdiv lo b'machteret mitzatim she'asu ptachim kimachteret. I'm not exactly sure how to explain this Gemara with the psukim. I don't exactly understand it, but basically it's talking about some entranceway which you didn't keep, meaning you didn't do the mezuzot. And those psukim, it says in Yirmiyah Novi that I'll get you for that. Omer of Shlokish, Kol Azoy Betzitzis. Anybody who's careful with the mitzvah of tzitzit, Zocheh, he merits, Mishamshin Loi. And you know who serves him? Bet Alafim, V'chet Me'ot Avadim. 2,800 slaves. Why? Shenema Koyom Hashem Tzvokos. Bayomi Mohemo, in those days, which is going to be today, Bezat Hashem. Asher Yachziku Asara Anashim, Mikol Shonot HaGoyim. From all of the languages of the Goyim, from all the nations, that's 70 nations, 10 slaves. Vichziku Bechnaf Ish Yehudi, they will hold on. 10 slaves from each nation will hold on to the corner of a Jewish man. What's Ish Yehudi? When do we say Ish Yehudi? By Mordechai HaTzadik, when he stood up against the Goyim, when all the Goyish things come against you, and you are like a Mordechai, you're an Ish Yehudi. You don't bow. Mordechai lo yichrav lo yishtachave. I'm not going to become like the Goyim of America. Leimor nelcho imachem, to say I'm going to go with them, but rather I stay very Jewish. I look Jewish. I wear my tzitzit. Or I wear my kippah. I don't involve myself in all the goyish things. Like the Chavetz Chaim said, and they have a Kabbalah from Rabbi Shua Leib Diskin, who is going to survive the days of Mashiach? You don't have to be the biggest tzaddik. It's the people that are not going to have to do with the goyim. And they're going to be totally ish Yehudi. Those people are going to merit to this. They're going to have 10 people from every nation. 10 times 70 is 700. That's on each corner. 700 times 4 corners is 2,800 slaves. We should be zoche b'mheira v'yameinu amen. Would you be able to do me a favor? Print it out now. Thank you so much. Shkoyach.